Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about season 1 of the show Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Fun fact, this show is based off of a book series written by Riordan and has been adapted once before into a movie. This series came out in 2023 and stars Walker Scobell, Leah, Sava, Jeffries, and Aryan Simhadri and was created by Riordan and Jonathan E. Steinberg. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Percy Jackson and the Olympians follows the demigod Percy Jackson, who is the son of Poseidon, who is also accused of stealing the god Zeus's prize lightning bolt, which is wreaking havoc on Olympus and about to start a war. He goes on a quest with fellow demigod Annabeth and his satyr bestie Grover to retrieve the bolt and save his mother, who is in the underworld. Percy Jackson is a fantasy adventure based off of a book. It has similar vibes to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Percy Jackson's and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, or Blood of Zeus. Percy Jackson and the Olympians has been adapted once before, and while I enjoyed the movie, I read the books after and realized that nearly everything was changed for the movie, which kind of became the downfall of the movie series because the story moving forward after that was missing certain things that they needed to introduce in the first movie that they didn't. This show comes in and I was shocked in a good way that they managed to keep the content so close to what's in the book. There are 5 books in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, and I would love to see them all adapted, and hopefully we can learn more about these characters and see what they'll have to go against in the future. Percy Jackson is played by Walker Scobell, and I thought that he did a good job with showing how Percy is still confused about everything that has been going on in his life, but will still fight to figure out what happened to this bolt and how to get his mother back. We see throughout the show that he's pretty courageous and doesn't want to put his friends in harm's way. I like how the show showed that he doesn't go into this knowing how to use his powers and that his father is of minimal help to him, but he is learning slowly. This was great casting for Percy, and I enjoyed seeing this character being brought to life, and I'm glad that they also made sure to add at the end a reminder that he loves blue food. I really enjoyed the scenes with Sally, who was played brilliantly by Virginia Cole, who really just gave off these protective mother vibes. She did everything in her power to let Percy grow up normal, and in the show we see how sometimes that was difficult for her, but she persevered. I love that even though she struggled, she kept a straight face for Percy and showed how much she loved him. And when they tried to tell him that he is the son of Poseidon, he reminded them that no, I am Sally Jackson's son, because he knew his mom is the only one that raised him. I'm glad that in the end they are reunited and now she doesn't have to deal with Gabe anymore, because he is now a statue. I loved Annabeth, who was played by Leah Sava Jeffries, and is the daughter of Athena. She is wise like her mom and great with making a plan to get their mission complete, and definitely is one that you want on your side. She showed a lot of respect for her mom, and honestly, I don't see why, because her mom wasn't really that helpful to the team, but I hope we get to see her and her mother's relationship explored a little bit more in future seasons, and if she will still hold that admiration for her as, the series goes on. One thing I'm glad that they decided to change in this series is about Medusa, and in this show they hint that she was unjustly punished. She is usually shown as this villain, and while they still show her as a villain, they start off by letting the viewer know that the reason that she's even in the predicament with these snakes in her hair that turn people to stone is because of the actions of Poseidon and Athena, and she wasn't remotely in the wrong. Unfortunately, she still tries to kill the kids, but I'm glad that they added more to her story so we know that Medusa was unjustly punished by those two. And this is a kid's show, so they're not going to go into the actual reason behind why she has those snakes in her hair. But I'm glad that they hinted that, Medusa is not perfect, but she also should not be in that situation. I like this version of Grover played by Aryan Simhadri. Grover is Percy's best friend, and even though Percy might doubt him sometimes, he always had his back. In the past, he helped guide Thalia, Luke, and Annabeth to Camp Half-Blood, which didn't go as planned. And this time around, his goal is to avoid that again and hopefully get his searcher's license so that he can find the god Pan. Many have tried to find Pan, but I think that Grover is the one that might be able to do it. Speaking of Camp Half-Blood, I was excited to see the different cabins and how it is based off of who your parent is, and how in some of the cabins they try to be the best to impress their parents, like Clarice and Annabeth. It's interesting to see what kind of respect you get based off of who your godly parent is, and how there are cabins for the big three, but they are often left empty until Percy comes along. Luke being the lightning thief is one thing that I remember from the books, but I was interested to see how it would all play out in this show. I loved how the show showed how he taught Percy how to use a sword, but by the time Percy finds out Luke is the one who stole the boat, Percy is a much better fighter. It's interesting to see how he was so friendly to Percy only to betray him. He has so much hatred for his dad that it led him to align himself with the wrong people. But can you truly blame him after seeing how these gods treat their kids? In the end, he escapes and we learn that his sword can cut through the protective barrier of Camp Half-Blood, so I'm interested to see how that will come to play in the future. It was cool how each god had a very distinctive look that seemed to be influenced by their role as a god. We see Dionysus, who just seems comfy because ideally he would be drinking all of this wine and he's not in any of the big meetings, but even though he doesn't have his wine, he hates that he's camp director, so he doesn't put much effort in. Hephaestus looks like at any moment he was ready to build or fix something. Hermes looks like he is about to go and run some errands, which is very on par for the messenger god. Ares looks like he has this bad boy look, or that he is in a motorcycle gang and he might be looking for a fight, which of course the god of war would be looking intimidating. Poseidon looked like he lived on a beach or on a ship in the ocean, so his outfit was this linen, breathable clothing, which is pretty relaxed. Hades looks like he runs the underworld with ease, but he also gives off these rich and elegant vibes, but his outfit's colors matched his domain and mostly consisted of dark colors like dark blacks and greens. And then you have Zeus, who comes in looking like a CEO wearing this very important suit. And even though he's just dealing with his family, Zeus looks like one person you would not want to mess with or get on his bad side because he would have you eliminated. The show surprisingly was fast-paced, and I didn't realize that there was enough from the books to squeeze into 8 episodes. I kind of wanted longer episodes just because when the episodes ended I wanted more, but I guess that also kept up the excitement and, kept me coming back for more episodes, the next week and week after. Even with that being said, I am glad that they dropped clues throughout the season to possibly hint at season 2 with the involvement of Kronos. So let's hope that the show gets renewed so we can see that played out on screen. One complaint I had about the show was the beach scenes and how they looked so fake. The lighting always looked weird, and it also didn't help that every single time they were at the beach, there was not a creature or human there. I get, filming out in public spaces might be hard, but that is one area that needed that because it just looked awful in the show. I think my favorite part of this season is the last episode when Percy goes to return the bolt. At this point in time, Percy has been through a lot and sees how even the thought of war between the gods affects human world, and wants to not only stop his dad and Zeus from fighting, but convince Zeus to stop Kronos before he escapes. This is the first time we meet Zeus, who is played by Lance Reddick, and he is so intimidating, but Percy doesn't back down. It was interesting to see this little kid stand up to this very powerful god, who also is his uncle, because he believed that the world deserved a better chance of surviving, and to tell him how much of a mess his family is. Zeus is obviously a know-it-all, and almost kills Percy if Poseidon didn't decide to intervene, but it was such a great scene that further showed that Percy will fight for what he believes in, and that the gods care about little besides themselves. Unfortunately, this is the final role for Lance Reddick, considering he passed in 2023, so rest in peace to a great actor. Percy Jackson and the Olympians was a great show to lay the foundation for what could be a great series. It was interesting to see the adventures that these kids had to go through to achieve their goals, and I thought the main cast did a great job in their roles. I hope it gets renewed for season 2, because I would love to see how this interaction with Kronos plays out. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.